anybody could be labeled Antifa.
Yep.
Anybody could be arrested.
Trump called Chuck Schumer Antifa once, possibly the most non-anti-fascist Democrat you could possibly think of. This is a long-term plan to terrorize people so that they don't participate in government and that they don't participate in kind of all the other facets of government and culture, and just be like, we're stepping back, we're going to be quiet, and that's how they win. That's how you get a Christian nationalist state.
You want to see what real independent journalism funded by the people for the people looks like?
You ever heard a story like this in America?
You're looking at it.
Congratulations for always being somewhere where mainstream media is not.
Flint, Michigan.
See you in Nevada.
Thanks to people like you, we can get the truth. Corporate media, they've been lying to us for years, and you're going straight to the people.
You are the man. I'm glad you're here.
For as low as 16 cents a day, you'll keep us on the ground, covering the important stories the corporate media covers up. Hey, it's Jordan. Happy to be joined by investigative journalist Zach Roberts. Unfortunately for your sanity, you've spent years digging into the right-wing fever swamp, particularly right-wing extremism, Charlottesville, white supremacy, Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, January 6th, all of it.
Yep.
So, yeah, your industry is pretty busy right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Most of the corporate media is focusing on the Jimmy Kimmel firing or suspension and free speech suddenly being under attack. We'll get to that. I actually think what they're not focusing on that much is probably more important to like average people. And that is the president of the United States, who ran on being a free speech warrior, is now declaring Antifa, which is not an official group, as a terrorist organization. This is what he truthed yesterday. I'm pleased to inform our many USA patriots that I am designated Antifa, a sick, dangerous, radical left disaster, is a major terrorist organization. I'll also be strongly recommending that those funding Antifa be thoroughly investigating in accordance with the highest legal standards and practices. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I'll just read a couple responses to that. This is from Drop Site News. Antifa, short for anti-fascist, is not a single group, but a loose network of activists who oppose far-right and fascist movements. They organize, protest, counter-rallies, and sometimes direct action against white supremacist groups or far-right events. Trump saying he's moving to designate them a, quote, major terrorist organization. Malcolm Nance, who I'm not a big fan of, but I thought this was a good one. Terrorism expert here. You cannot designate an idea as a terrorist group. There is no organization called Antifa. There's no leadership or funding path. There's no membership. Also, there's no law in America to charge terrorism. Ask Luigi.
I think that Trump called Chuck Schumer Antifa once, possibly the most non-anti-fascist Democrat you could possibly think of. And so we're just going to start seeing them go after anybody and anybody. And the problem is, yes, so there is going to be no specific way that they can designate this as a terrorist organization, because we do not have domestic terror like statutes in that way. They can possibly go after, again, I'm putting for people just listening, if you're just having this on a tab, like you can't, like Antifa is not an organization, so you can't specifically label a certain group. But what they're going to do is basically just label, like they did with Acorn way back in the day, the voting rights group. They label them as like a socialist organization and like kind of like went after them. They're just going to pick out groups that they perceive as quote unquote Antifa, whether that be Media Matters or the SPLC or whatever, and then go after their funding and basically run them into the ground doing, tax audits or whatever else they can possibly do. Like this is out of the Bush playbook back in the post 9/11 years, where they just went after any Muslim group they possibly could. They went after mosques, and everyone was a Muslim terrorist back in the day that dared to speak out at all.
We've already seen, Cop City, for example, which we covered on the ground, those protests in Georgia against this militarized police compound going in the middle of a protected forest. They were arresting protesters, many of them young, and charging them with domestic terrorism. Eventually, they got thrown out, those charges, because they were frivolous and ridiculous. But there were protesters held in jail without charges for weeks and months.
Yep.
We have seen at Standing Rock, environmental protests, protesters charged maybe not with terrorism, but inciting riots, felonies. So what this has the effect of, frankly, is anybody could be labeled Antifa.
Yep.
Anybody could be arrested, not just by police, but if Trump has launched ICE into your neighborhood, or the National Guard coming to town, possibly Chicago, possibly Memphis next, it has the effect of deterring protests in America, because if you're young, any age, you know, the truth is we all want to be courageous, but if there's a chance you're going to be charged as a terrorist, you got to defend that court bill. You got to get a lawyer. You could get fired from your job. Talk about the chilling effect this has, even if eventually charges or links that they might link you to it, terrorist Antifa would be tossed.
No, 100%. I mean, they're, because of what they're going to be doing is going at the same time, they're going to be going after the, quote unquote, activist organizations like ACLU that might defend, that normally defend the people that get thrown in jail. They'll be going after anybody who does bail funds, like that raises money for bail for the people that do stand outside the jail and support them. They'll be inherently Antifa, or they'll be inherently supporting a terrorist organization financially. But once they've run out of people they can go after, their only option is to start doing things on the streets. And as we get closer to elections, when people are starting to go to the vote, I mean, here in Virginia, early voting starts tomorrow. We're going to start having kind of people show up. They're already out in the streets looking for immigrants. They're going to start looking for supposed Antifa members. And we've seen it in cycle after cycle. The right-wing media sphere makes up these moments where, these black guys with guns were outside of a polling location, supposedly somewhere. We don't have any video of it, but supposedly that was something that happened. And thus now we need patriots to show up and camp outside polling locations with their guns and their intimidation tactics, and then really show up. And that'll go for, kind of any event that they can kind of think is important.
I hate to be dramatic, but I got to ask, are we like in the calm before the next civil war? I mean, maybe it won't look like the 19th century civil war, but some type of armed conflict.
I mean, I'm literally in the final stage. I'm working on a documentary called "This Is How It Ends," and so I've been kind of watching this this march. It's a slow march towards fascism. There's a Hemingway quote, which I'm going to mess up, which is it happened slowly and then all at once. Which is, I think, what we're seeing here is that we're seeing we've had 25 years, if not more. You can go back to Reagan, you can go back farther, but we've seen really 25 years of this right-wing movement. They take over the churches. They take, the idea of Christianity is now a conservative thing. It is no longer liberal. The idea, they're taking over the media. They're pushing out people of that. They take over sports. I mean, you can't, you've seen with Kaepernick, he can take a knee, but, the Christian guy, he can do exactly the same thing in the end zone, and that's perfectly fine. Obviously they've taken over the police forces. They've taken over the government. I interviewed this excellent, highly recommended book, Seven Mountains Mandates, about the Christian nationalist push to take over these 7 kind of fun mountains of American culture. And I think at this point it can be very much argued that they've succeeded. I mean, the NFL, most major league sports are at least conservative bent. Whether, you can kind of, there's not really a place for liberals to kind of speak out unless, you're the biggest name possible. Then you can kind of get away with it, but you still can't be the equivalent of some of the sports figures that we see of truly right-wing people. What is it? Aaron Rodgers, is that the one that's he's an anti-vaxxer? I'm not a sports person, obviously. But you have the most wild opinions possible on the right, but you can't have even, hey, Black Lives Matter is a thing. That's been erased, and so this is happening very quickly. And now I don't see a world you have all these people online, all the kind of online legal commentators saying, well, it's unconstitutional for Antifa to be designated a terrorist organization, or it's not. Oh, there's no provisions or whatever. Tell me when that has stopped Trump. Especially this year, when has that stopped Trump for doing anything? Supposedly,
or his Supreme Court.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you don't even. The thing is that Trump has realized through his, lifelong career of you just do the bad thing and you keep, as long as you keep moving forward and don't apologize, it won't matter. And so you can arrest these people. It's not his money that, there's going to be massive lawsuits from all these people getting fired from the government and from schools. It's not Trump's money. They're all going to win their lawsuits in civil court or whatever for wrongful termination. And the same thing's going to happen if when the feds arrest some, liberal fundraiser or something like that at Move On or something like that. Somebody just, literally that writes grants, they're going to decide that they did something wrong in some form. And then a year or 2 years later, that person's going to turn around and sue the government, likely win, but they're going to have their lives entirely destroyed for a decade and terrorized by the government. And the point is, this is a long-term plan that is coming to fruition, which is basically terrorize people so that they don't participate in government and that they don't participate in kind of all the other facets of government and culture, and just be like, we're stepping back, we're going to be quiet. Then that's how they win. That's how you get a Christian nationalist state, when people just decide to stay at home, watch Netflix, and enjoy their Christian conservative version of Reacher or something like that.
On that lovely note, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much.